Daniel Negreanu opens the action with ace-queen, one of those classic Broadway hands that works beautifully as a raise.
Come on, Daniel, every hand?
Yes, every hand.
Jeez.
Every hand till Saturday.
Saturday, he gets his highlights touched up.
But when Barbero calls with pocket deuces, he is entering the hand with a completely different script. Small pairs are not strong in isolation.
Got Kenny.
Asham and Kenny call.
Here we go.
Got some of that loose cannon money.
For Negreanu, this looks like a board he can lean on. The paired deuce means there are fewer combinations of trips available, and with his pre-flop raise, he can credibly represent all the strong aces and overpairs. So he fires $3,000, aiming to pick up the pot uncontested or extract value from pairs below the ace. Barbero, though, is sitting on quads. If he raises here, he narrows Negreanu's range immediately to hands that can continue, and with quads, that is the last thing he wants. By just calling, he lets Negreanu's entire bluffing range stay alive, setting a trap that is as much psychological as mathematical. The turn brings the ace. This is where the hand shifts. For Negreanu, the ace is one of the best cards in the deck. His hand improves to top pair, top kicker, and it strengthens the story he's been telling since pre-flop. But this same card is a gift to Barbero. Now Negreanu is less likely to slow down, more likely to stack off, and completely unaware he is drawing dead. Negreanu checks, perhaps to control the size of the pot, but Barbero is not letting this street pass by. He bets $9,200. A number that looks perfectly believable as a value bet with a medium ace or even a stubborn pocket pair. Negreanu calls, convinced he is still far ahead of the likely range. Negreanu checks again, expecting Barbero to take a stab. Barbero obliges with $20,000, a sizing that pressures Negreanu's entire calling range but still looks callable with top pair. From Negreanu's seat, folding feels impossible.
I'm thinking like sixes or sevens. Sixes or sevens are good for me. I had you on ace-4, unfortunately, on the turn. So if you had ace-4, then you just made a straight. Huh.
Drop the stakes you play at in the comments and whether you're an online grinder or live game player. Let's see if we're running with high rollers or micro warriors.
God, I don't like that river. Such a good river for you. If you put me on jacks, right? You figure I have jacks, you have to bet that river card now. So many, I leveled myself with the pause in the turn. You know what I mean? On the turn, I studied, and like sort of changed my range in his eyes, which forces me to go like that.
Daniel calls.
I had the nuts.
Oh, that's good too. Quads!
Negreanu is looking down on 10-9 suited. Shlomi opens to $475 with pocket kings, the classic early position value raise that invites dominated high cards to make mistakes. Boniati flats behind, a routine set mine that keeps the opener wide and creates a pot where overpairs are forced to play multi-way. On the button, Negreanu overcalls with 10-9 suited. He buys position against a likely overpair, keeps the pot single raised so his connected hand can realize, and preserves a post-flop story that can credibly arrive at straights and two-pair on many middling runouts. With 3 players and deep stacks, Negreanu's plan is to control price now and fight for leverage later. The board rolls out wet and middle, exactly the texture that pressures an opener's range. Shlomi continuation bets $1,525 into 2 opponents to tax the spades and charge the gutters while protecting his likely overpair. Boniati steps aside, Negreanu continues. With top pair, strong kicker for this configuration, and position, calling is superior to raising. It keeps Shlomi's bluffs alive, avoids isolating versus the strongest value, and retains every turn card that can add equity or scare an overpair. He's now set up to maneuver without inflating the pot unnecessarily. The Queen of Hearts lands. That card is fine for kings, but improves Negreanu's believable value region to include Queen 9 and some 2-pair that could have peeled. Shlomi opts for a measured $2,125, continuing his value protection line, without bloating the pot on a card that helps the caller more than the pre-flop raiser. Negreanu calls again, disciplined and deliberate. He keeps his range uncapped, realizes equity with 10-9, and holds the option to seize the narrative on favorable rivers, or punish thin value bets with a polarizing raise. The river is the 8 of clubs, a quiet but meaningful shift that completes 6-7 and strengthens combos like 9-8 that Negreanu can absolutely show up with. Shlomi puts out a small $3,000 bet, more price setting than power, trying to get looked up by worse pairs while avoiding a big decision. Negreanu springs the trap to $12,800, polarizing himself to straights, two pair, or sets, and telling a story perfectly consistent with his passive turn. 10-9 is a sharp candidate. It blocks calls from Queen 9, doesn't block missed spades, and represents exactly the value holdings that beat an overpair.
Aces or kings? Can I say that, or is that illegal? Heads up. I can say what he has, but not what I have. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking aces or kings.
I appreciate you watching this far. Could you please give this video a like? Thank you.
And Shlomi's now thinking, if you've read me for aces or kings, surely you can beat aces or kings. I have to fold.
She's in with sixes.
Jennifer Tilly kicks things off with pocket sixes. This is a decent hand to entertain a small raise with and see if luck is on your side.
Back on Arden. She calls the 3-bet as well, so 3-way to the flop. Oh my word, set over set, and Griffin's flop top pair?
This is going to be bad for Griffin, but it's going to be real bad for Arden.
With the board that the flop delivers, everyone has something to bet about. But instead of that, Tilly and Cho decide to check. With that in mind, our weak top pair is trying to take control of the board by shooting a small bet of $2,500. Tilly is loving it because other than a set of kings, nothing else on the board beats her, and she would love to see this pot growing, so naturally she calls. Miss Cho, on the other hand, has a completely different plan. She is not waiting for the pot to grow. She is growing it herself. She does that by firing a $9,400 bet. Now Benger has a choice. Entertain this top pair, or realize the truth and just give up.
Why is he so serious? He's like a goober 99% of the time.
The angry man quickly decides to fold and not pursue the king. On the other hand, Tilly is more than happy to oblige Miss Cho by re-raising to $30,000 with her set of sixes.
Oh boy.
Jen re-raises $30,000.
At this point, Miss Cho should know the deep trouble she finds herself in, but still decides to go ahead and call on her set of fives. The turn delivers the 9 of clubs, a card that is completely irrelevant to both of them. If I was in the position of Tilly, I would be betting pot here. What would you? Let me know in the comments below. I guess Tilly is not so happy about my jamming suggestion, so she decides to check here and wait for something magical on river. Same thing for Miss Cho. In her case, though, that is in her favor.
And Arden spikes a 1-outer. She's got quads. Meanwhile, Jenna's rivered a full house.
Buckle up, because this hand just went from pretty sick to absolutely bonkers.
People say patience is a virtue, but in Tilly's case, her patience came to bite her from behind. The river delivers the only card that can save Miss Cho, and that is the 5 of clubs. Now the only question is, will Tilly get baited by her now full house hand? Or will she read her for the quads Miss Cho has? And as we all thought she should do, Miss Cho goes.
There it is.
This is not good.
No, it sure isn't.
If Jen calls, this will be the biggest pot of the game.
Arden, do you have quads? Because I can't beat quads.
Does she know?
I don't think you have kings full. And I don't think you have 9s full. You might have 5s full.
That's a call.
Vixen, our cowgirl over here, opens up to pocket kings. An extremely powerful hand that you want to 3-bet your opponents with. And that is exactly what she did. But against her is Zephish holding the pocket queens, who snap calls her bet. Now only the cards will decide who will win this one. It's time to deal the flop.
Vixen, 2 kings. With a massive 3-bet. Zephish, the queens.
They made a small mistake on stream which will be fixed. DQ with the ace-3 is folded and the pot is smaller. Even though our cowgirl queen was in the lead, this queen on the flop changes everything. But as she is first to act, Vixen decides to portray strength and bet $2,600. Zephish thinks for a second, so he doesn't reveal that he is holding the current nuts and casually calls Vixen's bet. I would have 3-bet her here for sure.
And a king on the turn. Set over set. 14K in the pots. It's in. The money's in.
That turn all but guarantees Vixen's win. Zephish only out is to make quads, and as you can see, there is only 2% chance of that happening. Now Vixen has only one question, and that is, how much does she bet? She takes 39 seconds of thinking before going.
There's the all-in Zephish and a snap. What a disaster! $32,000 in the pot.
I always go once.
Yeah, sure.
Vixen calls for one time,
Nice, huh?
and the river breaks.
Daniel Negreanu opens the action by raising to $1,200 with pair of kings. It's a textbook move, designed to build the pot while protecting his kings from speculative hands that could get lucky. Enter Tony G. With ace-9 suited, a speculative hand that thrives on post-flop potential, he decides to flat call the raise. This move is classic Tony G, stirring the pot with a hand that can either hit big or land him in hot water. Wiggins' ace-king is a premium hand, but against Negreanu's kings, he's walking straight into a dominant position. His re-raise signals strength, potentially trying to isolate against the original raiser or take down the pot outright. Negreanu steps up the aggression, re-raising to $13,100 with his pair of kings, a clear signal that he's not here to play around. This move not only protects his hand, but also forces his opponents to make some tough decisions. Tony G, ever the entertainer, realizes he's been caught in the middle with his speculative ace-9 suited. Even Tony knows when it's time to let go. From Wiggins' perspective, ace-king plays well against many hands Negreanu could be re-raising with, such as pocket queens or jacks. However, against kings, he's drawing thin, hoping for an ace to come to his rescue. The flop comes down 6 diamonds, 5 clubs, 7 diamonds, creating a low and connected board. Wiggins decides to check before seeing the flop, taking a cautious approach and potentially hiding his range. This move signals that he's either looking to control the pot size or hoping to catch a favorable turn card. Negreanu wastes no time asserting his dominance, firing a hefty continuation bet aimed at charging any potential draws or weaker hands that might want to see another card. With the low and coordinated board, Negreanu's kings are still well ahead, but he's wisely protecting his equity while building the pot. Wiggins folds with a smile, but Negreanu's strategic betting once again proves why he's one of the best in the game.